I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe. What's going on, guys? I'm here with something a little bit different now. I'm going to talk about a video game, a classic Star Wars video game called Star Wars Bounty Hunter, one of the most underrated, least talked about Star Wars games ever. It came out in November of 2002, about 6 months after the release of Attack of the Clones, but it takes place between A Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Stars Jango Fett as the main character, the bounty hunter, hence the name, and you get to play as Jango and go around trying to find this huge bounty who is the leader of an underground cult that is basically, as they say in the game, everywhere and nowhere at the same time. They've infiltrated basically every aspect of the galaxy. They've infiltrated the drug scene, gangs, politicians, cops, everything. So you kind of have to find your way, talk to this person, find this person, then figure out where they're getting their stuff from and who they're talking to, and then eventually find your way to this huge bounty who's worth 5 million Republic credits, assigned by Count Dooku. And this game is awesome. Like I said before, it's one of the most underrated games. It's one of my favorite Star Wars games, and it's a classic PS2 game. However, you can play it on the PS4 or PS5, and I believe it's only like $5 or $10 to get it. It's very, very cheap, easily worth it, and it looks like they've remastered it a little bit. They haven't changed the gameplay or anything at all, but it looks slightly better. It looks HD. It actually looks pretty good, even though it won't take up the whole screen because it is a PS2 game. But the game's a blast, and you get to play through these 6 different chapters, each with 3 levels, all in unique locations and different enemies that you get to fight. So you get to use Jango's, all of his equipment. You get to use his double guns, which unlimited ammo. You get the poison darts that you see in Attack of the Clones. You get the rope to tie people up. You get this ID scanner, which is how you find your bounties. They're about over 150. I think I was trying to count them up before this in my head because I have this whole thing memorized like the back of my hand. There are about 150 bounties throughout this game that you can collect that are side bounties that aren't related to your main bounty. Well, they could be related to the main bounty in some form or fashion, but they're not the main bounty. They're not worth nearly as much as the main bounty is, but you can collect them as you work your way through these levels as kind of just another objective, another thing to do throughout this game. And the first few times I played the game, I didn't do that. I thought it was too hard. I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to get all of these bounties and just scan every single enemy? Because I think you end up, if you kill all the enemies you're supposed to, you end up killing over 1,000 enemies throughout this game. And there's only 150 of them are bounties. So I know you're thinking, like, how the hell am I going to be able to figure out which ones are the bounties? I couldn't do it on my own. I had to watch a walkthrough and see someone tell you exactly where all the bounties are. Otherwise, there's no fucking way I was ever going to get it. It would be impossible. So I'm going to do my own walkthrough at some point because this review is probably going to be fairly short. I didn't write down any notes. I'm just going off the cuff here. Just going to talk about why it's an interesting game and why I think you should give it a try and why it's one of the most underrated Star Wars games. But I'm going to tell you how to beat every single level, what to do against certain enemies, and how to find every single bounty because they can be hidden a little bit. Some of them, usually they're not like amongst huge crowds of enemies that you're trying to kill. Sometimes they do something that kind of separates them, but still, it can be extremely difficult to find 150 bounties. And this game in general is, on first play, an extremely difficult game. It took me a long time to beat it. Now that I've played it, honestly, probably over 100 times, I beat it easily every single time, and I get all the bounties every single time. But it definitely was not doing that at first. It took me a really long time to figure out exactly how to play the game and how to do things right, and when to use which equipment and when to use the other equipment. But yeah, so it's an awesome game. And the only downside, I'd say, there's a couple glitches here and there with that's going to be the case with any PS2 game. But also, it can feel maybe a little bit repetitive when you're killing these large groups of enemies with your 2 pistols. That can get a little bit tiring, but I don't think that's honestly too bad. It's definitely not a button mash game. I think there's enough other things to do, places to go and different enemies to face and different ways to kill them and so many obstacles that you face. I think it certainly far outweighs the fact that it can get slightly tiresome just killing large sums of enemies, but that even can be satisfying too. And I also found that trying to find the extra bounties adds another layer to the game. Where if you're not doing that, it definitely gets a little bit boring. But I think each level has at least somewhere between 5 to 15 bounties. So trying to find them certainly adds another fun element to the game, another thing that you're trying to do as you work your way through this level. So I would recommend doing that. And if you can't find them on your own, which if you can, props to you. That's going to be extremely difficult. I don't think anyone can probably do that on their own. I would suggest watching a walkthrough. I'm going to do my own walkthrough at some point. It's going to be very thorough, telling you exactly where to find which bounty and how to capture them and everything. The game's a ton of fun. And I'm a huge Jango Fett fan in general. It's a good story as well. This game tells a really good story, and you see another side of Jango Fett that you don't get to see in Attack of the Clones or any other medium that he's in, which I don't think he's in very much. Jango Fett is an extremely underrated character. One of my favorite Star Wars characters. And I have a Boba Fett Funko right here, but I wish it was Jango. They didn't have Jango, so I had to settle for Boba. Everyone's so obsessed with Boba. I'm like, nah, man. Jango's the guy. Like, Jango is the one. He's the one. He's the original badass bounty hunter. Now, I know Boba Fett was technically created before Jango Fett, but timeline-wise, Jango Fett was first, and I prefer the dual pistols to the blaster. Jango Fett is so cool. You get to use his jetpack in this game after the first level and a half. Throughout the rest of the game, aside from one other level, you get to use his jetpack. And then another thing that as the game goes along, you get to add to your equipment. So like at some point you get grenades. At some point you get a sniper rifle. At some point you get the missile that's on the top of the jetpack that you see in Attack of the Clones. And you get like 5 of those per level. And you can pick up more throughout the game. Each level has, you can pick up more of your equipment. Like you can get more poison darts. You can get more sniper rounds once snipers available. Once missiles are available, you can grab more missiles. Certain enemies, depending on what weapons they have, will drop certain ammunition for those weapons and equipment that you get to use. And there will be health bars, and then there will be like full health. You see 3 of them, but it's actually more than 3. It's a full health. You get to grab one of those, and your health goes all the way up. And it's so much fun. I would highly suggest playing this game. Such a great game. And I don't really review games, so I'm not exactly sure how to score it. I guess if I compare it to all the other games I've played, it's certainly one of my favorites, but it's not like a perfect game or anything. I'd probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10. So there you have it, guys. Star Wars Bounty Hunter is an awesome game. If you've never played it, give it a shot. One of the most underrated games. One of my favorite Star Wars games. Classic or new. You can get it on PS4 or PS5 for like $5. I don't think you can get it on Xbox. I don't think, last time I checked, you couldn't get it, which is unfortunate. But you can get Battlefront on Xbox, which is another one that I might possibly talk about. Another amazing classic game. But if this sounds interesting to you at all, any of the stuff I talked about, playing as a bounty hunter, trying to track down this big bounty, finding these other side bounties, using all Jango's different equipment and weapons. If any of that sounds cool to you, I would highly suggest this game. Highly recommend it. Give it a shot. I'm going to do a walkthrough for it at some point. I'm not exactly sure when, but look for that coming at some point soon. And if you enjoy my content, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video if you enjoy this video. And I got some cool stuff coming. See you soon.